Okay, welcome to another Thursday morning and another episode of Seeds of Music, the #1 resource for independent artists where you can learn how to build a bigger fan base and make more music income. On today's show, we have Jama Ford. She is an incredibly talented jazz artist who has just released a new album called The Deep End. And I listened to the title track Silencio and the cover All Blues, and I was just, wow, this woman really knows what she's doing. She really knows how to sing. She is a true music professional making a full-time living with music. And in this episode, we're going to talk about her CD release party, okay? Because I know a lot of you, when you release a CD, it's really tough to get people to actually come out to your show to support you. But she was able to use this really ingenious promotion strategy to get more fans to come out to her CD release party and show more support for her music by leveraging the show that another artist had already booked. This was a really, really cool idea. Definitely recommend that you listen to this interview all the way through. And don't forget, at the end of the interview, leave a comment on the Seeds of Music website and let me know what you think. But you can also leave a comment on the YouTube watch page as well. Let's jump right in.
Check.
Check. We'll include that in the interview. I'm actually recording right now, so
Okay.
that's fine. I'm just gonna leave it. This is Seeds of Music is all about the real, you know. So you're in front of the couch. I'm shrouded in partial darkness in front of my laptop. This is where it's at. So everybody, thanks for coming on and tuning into another episode of Seeds of Music on this Thursday morning. We have on the show Jamila Ford. Okay, she's a jazz artist. She actually lives and performs in the Los Angeles area. If you're in the area, you can probably see her perform at where's your residency at? That's the at Cafe Cordial.
I play at Cafe Cordial a lot. I sing there pretty often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another word I wasn't sure about how to pronounce, but
you got it.
That's why. I think it's like when they run into the instance where you think you're not going to be able to pronounce something, somehow you think if I say it slow, then it's somehow going to be less of a train wreck if I say it wrong. But so you've released a new album, Deep End, and I actually was listening to the album all the way through. I think my favorite was All Blues. That was definitely a favorite song, and I could go off on so many reasons I liked it, but just I really like it when jazz puts in has some elements of simplicity in it that I can really latch onto, because listening to bebop or Charlie Parker go off for on a ton of different notes is sometimes like hard for me to latch onto that. But anyways, you're a full-time musician making a living with music. I'm curious, like, what's your #1 source of music income?
It changes from time to time, but at this point it would be the work I do for other people. I do session work and I do background singing. Yeah. And since I've just put the record out, I expect within the next few months that'll, my own shows and my own sales will kind of start to replace that. Mm-hmm. It would be the work I'm doing for other folks.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably like built you a pretty substantial network.
Yeah, it's been good that, like, for example, just the guys that I used on my record, I met them when I was singing background. I was touring as a background singer. Yeah. And, we worked together for several months. So we had like a camaraderie and I knew they'd be good for the record. And, if anything, it was a good hang, but it turned out to be a good record. I think. So you do definitely, I've, just thinking about it, like going back and back and back, I met, everybody I'd kind of met was just because I'd sang backup for somebody else, and worked on with that record. So
like, it seems like the heart of that network has just been you collaborating and performing with other artists. Is there any? Have you hung out with people in your network, like these artists that you've met outside of the context of performing and music? I mean, you guys go to the local. I don't know, this bar. I don't know.
I go to many bars.
Yeah.
No. I think if you're going to, especially when you're touring, you do end up just kind of hanging out and really getting to know people. Hopefully you like them. And, in my case, I really like the people that I toured with. So, and the other background singer that I was touring with, on that particular tour, we're really good friends, and when we get together, we probably talk about everything but music, and it's good. She's like one of my best friends now. So, I think, I've never been a big, networker, and I don't generally
in the sense
of
of like what you're thinking, like, yeah.
because
does it really happen like that though? I mean, it's hard for me to imagine someone successfully building a relationship if they just go up to someone they don't know and they're just like, hello, sir,
And that's what you kind of imagine. It's just like, you're just like walking up to people that you don't know and then being weird and,
weird. Like walking up to the circle. Here's the uncomfortable one. Walking up to the semicircle, or it's somewhat a circle, and you're trying to find a way to fit in. And you just kind of have your hands in your pocket and you're just kind of standing awkwardly, like standing around. And then they say something that's funny and you laugh and everyone turns at you and you're like, you're like, okay. And you just kind of back.
Oh man. Oh, that's the worst. That would be awful. But no, they're like just genuine friendships that you have. And I think when they talk about it's who you know, like everybody who I know they just kind of work with their friends, people who they've worked with, and out of that work, they've developed friendships. And that's kind of how it, it naturally works.
But they're competent too. I mean, they're competent at what they do. So it's just like you can't just be competent. You also have to have the relationships to move your career forward. That's one thing that I think a lot of artists, they get into their mind, especially, people that write songs. They think that you just write the music, make sure it's great, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to do anything.
If only.
If only. Exactly. So I'm guessing you kind of have that mentality as well, as like, the music has to be great, but the music alone isn't enough. You have to get it out there. You have to work with people to make it come to life
into all those details.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, what was about this new album, the Deep End? What was like your biggest challenge? Not just like, and let's say from writing to recording to promoting. What was like the hardest thing in getting this album out?
It's like, what wasn't hard? It would be easier. I think I just kind of remember I wanted to just go, into the jazz realm. It's, first of all, just like something I'd been kind of avoiding for some reason. I just wanted to write my own songs. I didn't feel like I wrote jazz songs. I wasn't writing anything overly complicated. Though it had like jazz influence and all that kind of stuff. It was, mainly a 3 chords and the truth kind of thing. And, so, it was just a matter of, at first deciding like, okay, I'm going to make a jazz record, but then how do you make an interesting jazz record? Because, these standards have been covered ad nauseum. Like,
I was gonna ask you something later. I'm gonna remind myself at the end about a certain jazz cover, but
So and when I was singing backup on the tour that I met my friends on, the musicians who played on my record, I was talking to a producer backstage and I said, I want to do a jazz record, but how do you make it interesting? Like, how do you just like not sound like everybody else who's put one of these things out? And he said, well, don't worry about being interesting. Just get personal. And I said, dang.
Oh, yeah. He just threw he just dropped a knowledge bomb, wisdom bomb.
He dropped it. Yeah. That exploded.
Yeah.
So then, it was still like maybe a year before I, did anything. But I just kind of let that marinate, and I was thinking about the songs I might want to do because, I hadn't recorded a jazz record, but I had been performing, jazz
Yeah.
around town, and that's what I got, had been hired the most to do. That's where I noticed I was making my money. So I thought, let's just go where the money is, but let's like make it, cool and really me and not like
Yeah.
a copy of, something
Do you feel
else
like
that's been there before. So,
do you feel like you needed to let it just kind of brew for a year and not touch it, or were you just kind of, was there something holding you back, like some obstacle?
um, money was a big obstacle. It's like,
Wow,
how am I
yeah.
going to do this?
I was like on my edge of my seat for some like deep answer, and then you're like, money.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was one thing, but it
yeah,
was, there was like sort of a belief, there you can have money, but you do need to, and that can hold you back. But you do also need to believe in yourself. You do also like need to get to a place where you're just like, um, how am I gonna just connect with yourself on an honest level, and then figure out how you're going to connect with other people, I guess. And I found that this record is really connected more than the others that I've put out, and I think it's because I've just finally really gone to a more honest place as an artist,
yeah.
And one of my neighbors who, got the record, he stopped me last night. I was on my way to the laundry room, and he said, he was just like, I've heard your other stuff, and it was really good, but this is just like you. I was just like, yes. So it's like I'm really feeling that connection,
Yeah.
with people.
How do you approach songwriting when you feel you're being honest? Like, what is honest songwriting?
Honest songwriting. I'm thinking about maybe like what's going on in my life at the moment, and if it's going on in my life, I'm sure it's gone on in somebody else's.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think it's anything particularly explosive or unique about
yeah.
anything that's gone on in my life. Everybody's, they've had pleasure and pain and, joy and suffering, and nobody gets out of, nobody's getting out with, without experiencing any of that. Hopefully, you experience more pleasure than anything else. But,
Hmm.
For instance, the song that I wrote for this recent EP, The Deep End, that was the first thing I'd written. Actually, that year that I decided I was going to do a jazz record, I had worked on that song with my friend Jeff, and just kind of thought I would build something around that song, which was not really an approach I'd taken to any record, but I just wanted to build a project sort of around that song. I thought that song was cool, and it just kind of had like a sexy, almost sort of bossa Brazilian up-tempo feel, and I thought, and I could hear hints of some classic jazz with it. Well, my voice is what lent, the jazz to
Yeah.
it. So, um,
What about the lyrics, though? I mean, I thought
oh,
the
the
lyrics are
lyrics.
pretty. I thought the lyrics to me was what and this is unique because like I listen to music, I tend to not listen to the lyrics first. But when I heard this, like I recognized the structure of it, but I was actually listening to the lyrics because I thought it was a unique approach to that that theme behind the song.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was kind of the first thing we had. I mean, I first of all, we decided to come up with the concept, and I don't even know how we landed on that one, but we did just kind of, talk about a connection between, you and the person you love, your,
Hmm.
your partner, and how um,
You don't need
that
to
is
use words to
silent.
communicate. Yeah,
Yeah, that is
yeah,
like, not a thing you can grab or grasp really most of the time. It's just it's there or it's not. That's what I always, that's what I always think. You
yeah,
can't fake that.
yeah. No,
you
absolutely.
know. And so, we came up with that concept, and then I just kind of took it and forgot about it for a while.
Hmm.
This is what I do with many of my songs. But I decided to come back to it when I, seriously decided to do this record. But the song came first, and I just kind of sat down. And actually, I had that song by Sarah Vaughan, Whatever Lola Wants. I don't know if you ever heard that. Whatever Lola Wants, but it's just
No,
kind
I
of
haven't
that
heard of that.
sexy sort of,
Yeah, whatever Lola wants. Come on.
Lola gets.
Yeah, seriously.
But I wanted that kind of feel to it. And you know, I had, our original concept was just like a really ballady. It was funny because I was going through all of my old demos for this particular song because I wanted to share the demos with my mailing list so they could sort of see, the process, the evolution of the song. And like the original demo was this ballad. It was way slower than, how it ended up. And I didn't even remember doing it, but I do remember thinking when I was writing the lyrics that this song's going to have to be like, a little bit of a rump shaker, like, it's going to have to be faster. And so anyway, I took that concept when I went away from Jeff, my co-writer, and, I just kind of came up with some more ideas and just some lines. I just wrote whatever came to mind. I just, I didn't edit and try to edit in the moment, just, then I just kind of put it all together. I went back to him and, mostly had, what the song is now, but Jeff is really great with like coming in and like, just like shaping words and making things like flow better and softening edges. He's kind of like feng shui for songwriting, like just softens out all of your rough edges and chooses like, maybe this word could be like switched to this word and makes it much more interesting. Like that line, in the second verse, sweet soul that stirs the sun to dawn and shakes me from my sleep. I said something else before, but he was like, let's do like shakes me from my sleep instead. And I was like, oh, I like that. Because sometimes you have a dream that stirs you or even a nightmare or whatever.
Did you just use words that just meant waking up, like a different kind of, instead of shakes me from my sleep, you said rolls me out of... rolls me from my sleep. Rolls me out of bed.
Like rolls me out of bed. Something like that. It was less of us, less stirring than shake.
So you said stir from sleep.
I think I said stir. I said wakes.
He's like, that sounds too much like cooking. Let's change this to shake.
Exactly. This is not Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
So. But just the personal place. The personal place is also like, just every influence I've ever had. Like, Sarah Vaughan is something that my father used to listen. A singer that my father used to listen to when he was driving me to school. When I was a kid. So I was, those melodies and that tone of voice and all that kind of stuff. It makes its way in and it just makes its way out into a song, so it runs that deep and it goes back decades, it can be about more than even the lyrics, it's all every influence, so.
Kind of like the subconscious mind is working on your music, for sure. Because you're not like consciously thinking I mean, you get to the point in a certain point in skills, where you sing or you play your instrument and you're not consciously thinking about, okay, I'm going to like try to sound like this. It's like, it just comes out and unconsciously.
For sure.
So like Silencio is like would you say that's like the theme of the album, or was it just, you built the rest of the songs independently off of that song?
Yeah, it started with that song, and even with, that song, it was still a feel. It was still, it still had to be, we had drums, bass, and voice, and I sang the bass line, and then, my friend who's a producer, he just kind of like built the bass line off of what I sang. What can I say? It started with that song, but even that song had to be like, almost melded in, with everything else, because we still didn't have, really musicians on it. And, the musicians, it was going to be played live. I knew that. And then that's a whole other ball game. It's not like the loop that we had, that we'd been working with and that I'd been living with, I wanted that feel, but, it's trying to get that out of somebody as good as they are is another thing. So, it did help that we, when I finally got into the studio with the musicians, we recorded everything in one day, and including that song. And that song, though everything was built around that, everything also influenced that, and it was all just kind of one flowing mass,
Yeah, just
but,
like one big snowball of creativity and hard work. Which probably it seems like at the end of all this hard work and getting this album recorded and mixed and mastered, and once you get to the promoting end, you actually did a CD release party. And what I think is pretty interesting is that you were able to get quite a few people out to a CD release party. Because let's face it, I've been to some other CD release parties, and it's kind of been like, not a lot, kind of sad. But you were, can you tell us a little bit about how exactly you were able to get so many people out to your CD release party?
It took some finagling. No, it just took some, creative thinking. I with all of the work that I've been doing for other people, I hadn't really been doing many of my own shows, so I knew that it was going to be a challenge to fill up a room, and so I thought I would try to just approach a friend who had a night somewhere and that I could share a night with, and see if we could work something out that way. And, I would definitely work to bring my own people, but I didn't want to be responsible for the entire room, because that was just daunting to me. On top of everything else.
What's the running length of your album?
It's a half hour. It's about a half hour.
Half hour, yeah. So I'm curious, what do you think is like the optimal length for a CD release party in terms of like material? Even if you're CD, so let's say you have a CD that's a half an hour. Some people have CD that might stretch like a little bit, quite a bit longer than that. Did you find that? Have you ever been to a CD release party that's been a half hour?
Well. A half hour. I've maybe like 45 minutes, to an hour. That's generally the thing. And, I added in other songs, I did everything from the record, but I did put in just songs that I like, like Ava, Wade in the Water. I did like Ava Cassidy's version, and, some other songs that I really like, and really old Fleetwood Mac, songs like pre-Stevie Nicks. I did one of those.
What about your hits?
My stuff, I just focused, mainly on the current record. I didn't, I was going to do one from the last one, but then I thought, I just decided, there were other songs that I really wanted to do, and I wanted to take this opportunity.
Okay, so you took a different approach rather than, mixing hits with, because I went to a CD release party in May. It was like a hip hop show, and they did hit songs, but it was mixed with songs from the new album, and the set was they had like openers, so it was like a CD release party where they had like I think 2 or 3 artists like opening before them. But and a lot of people were filled in that room, but a lot of people came for them as well. So it's it's like now I have like these 2 examples where it's really important to reach out and if you have a CD release party to like leverage the 2. You and one other artist that maybe the artist already has the show booked, so then you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, in this case, it just turned out to be this particular show that they do at the venue Cafe Cordial, and it used to be at a different venue, is that they have a guest singer on this gig, and then it turns into the first half, and then it turns into a jam the rest of the night. So I knew that the jam. Oh, let me get my cat away from my food. Sorry. I knew that the jam would bring people, would bring folks out, because I've been to those jams, and they're very well attended. A lot of pros go to this thing, and people will just come in general to that venue because they know there's going to be good music. So I knew that I'd have those things working in my favor, and then just really working my butt off to get my friends and family and fans to the gig. So
that's an awesome cat, by the way, in the background.
Oh, there she is. Meet Money Penny, everybody.
Money Penny?
Yes.
Oh, do you ever do the Sean Connery impression?
Money Penny.
That's a beautiful cat, though. I love cats. Most people, I don't know, they're kind of indifferent about cats, but I think they're awesome.
She's sniffing my head. She never does this. I don't know what she's doing.
She wants to be on the show. I think this is the first cat we've had. Yeah, this is the first cat we've had on the show.
Oh, great!
We've had dogs randomly come across, but cats. Yeah, we'll just get the whole animal kingdom. I'll shoot for next time birds and turtles. So what I'm wondering, this show specifically, when it was promoted, because you were promoting it as well. Did you promote it as your CD release party, or did you promote it as this guy's show plus my CD release party? I mean, how did you approach that?
I approached it as that was kind of confusing for me at first, and then we figured it out. But for instance, his name is can I say his name? I could say his name, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh, sure. Don't promote me.
Shay Welsh. He has a Shay Welsh Presents, okay. And so it was Shay Welsh Presents Jamila Ford's CD release party.
Oh,
and
that's a good idea.
And then and then after it, Ronnie Gutierrez, who was also sharing the night, hosted the Pro Jam that came afterwards. So all of our names were kind of attached, and we were all getting our people out, and that's kind of. So
it was like a variety show in a way.
Yes,
like you had. I think that's really clever going from the way of having presents, and then your CD release party, and then having something else cool happening at the end that encourages people to stick around.
Yeah.
So it's really like, I talk about audience retention.
Yes.
The audience like sticking around and being engaged. Because while they're all the people that stay afterwards for the jam, you get to go up there and do the jam too, and it also gives you much more time to talk with people in the crowd and build that network and have good conversations with people who will end up being fans of yours and will purchase your albums. I'm really really glad that you brought that up, because I think that's an awesome way to promote a CD release party.
And then there's like a flow to the evening, and it's not just, because if you do share with the band, which can be good, but especially in this town, people
in
will
this
just
town.
I'm one of those people who says this town. But here in LA, you can share a night with a band, but people will. Their audience will leave when you come up. Yeah, that's just pretty much what will happen. They don't know who you are. They don't really give a crap who you are, and
they don't have that prior connection. Plus, it's like getting out to shows in this is just a Los Angeles issue, but I'm sure it's like that in some other cities, right? But just getting out to shows, just driving, it's they're probably thinking, oh, we got a long, we got to get on the 40, the 405 to
the
get
405
back.
To the 605.
Oh man, they're looking on their phone at the Google app and like, oh, there's traffic on the 5, and
you're just like, forget it. Oh,
so,
but
wait, we're downtown LA. We got to get back to Santa Monica, which means we don't have any quick road for it. So
I don't do Santa Monica. I gotta love you to see your show.
If you're not right off the 101 or the 405 or the 5 or any of those, then you're SOL.
I gotta tell you, I may as well have to go to New York, because it's just like it's a lot to get to that end of town, I gotta say. But on the night of my CD release, there she goes again.
I'm trying to.
This is Money Penny's world, everybody.
She's like just doing her own thing. She's coming in and coming out.
This couch is hers. She's not allowed in the other part of the apartment, so this is just I'm in her domain right now.
I can't even see her nose. All I can see her eyes.
Her eyes. I know, she's so dark. It's hard to take pictures of her because everything disappears but the eyes.
She said, but it's a
cute,
great
though.
Halloween cat, though.
It's cool. And I'm wearing orange. This is a black cat. This is a Halloween themed, and it's October, so
yeah. And I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt, which is Black Magic. So right,
nice.
So that kind of makes
We've got
sense.
a theme going on here.
Yeah,
it's all tying together. But yeah, on the night of my show, speaking of traffic, we're beyond traffic because there was a bomb threat on the 101. They'd closed down.
Someone wants to blow up the 101?
Yes. Somebody just got fed up with the 101 and they wanted to blow it up.
You know what? Forget this. I'm going to blow up exit number 5B on the 101, and no one can get off this road.
Oh man! But my husband was on his way home from work. He was stuck on there, and it was like maybe an hour before I needed to leave for my show. They shut off the 101, going north and south. So I knew that there would be a lot of friends who weren't going to be able to make it to my show, possibly because it was going to be a flippin' nightmare. And luckily my husband was able to get, home. He grew up out here, so he knows all, he got off the freeway, he went through the hills, and he was able to make it. And then we had to go through, back through the hills to get to the valley. It was just like, it was actually very...
up in Glendale, like through that area to get in the valley? Or?
Almost. I mean, we're kind of like at the base of the Hollywood Hills, so we just kind of like went up and through. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about the traffic. But,
let's give a geography lesson on LA.
I know. But just if you're thinking of moving here, this is what you'll have to contend with.
Yeah. But then it becomes, I think it's important no matter what, like to think of creative ways to get fans to stick around at shows, whether or not it's a pain in the butt for them to drive out or not, because I think even people, like I'm originally from Florida, and the roads are really nice. Sorry, LA, but our roads are nicer in certain parts of Florida. And especially in Orlando, Florida, there's the 408. That's like your speedy road if you want to get somewhere fast. And people will go out to shows there and travel long distances and not have really, really bad traffic getting back, but they still people still want to conserve time, even if what they do with their time is like watching Meet the Kardashians. Okay.
Oh Lord.
Or, you know what I mean? Like basically wasting time.
I can't diss. I watch The Housewives. I mean, what am I going to say?
Okay.
I mean, I haven't gone.
Well, let's
I haven't gone that far over to the dark side, but
let's I don't want to piss anybody off who watches that show.
Yes,
but let's assume that there's someone out there that in their spare time they like to stare at the floor. I think that people will want to conserve their time, even if in their spare time they just stare at the floor or watch Netflix or whatever, just because the creature is the habit and people have their ways of winding down and relaxing. So we have to, as artists, we have to do more to creatively encourage people to interact more at our shows and stick around. And I think what this it's almost like a format you've come up with where you, an artist that you're releasing your CD and you're essentially reaching out to someone in your network who already has a show and an audience, having them present you as your CD release party. You bring your fans to their show, so so you're kind of like cross-pollinating fans. And then at the end of it, having like a cool jam, or I mean, I don't know, you could just do lots of awesome stuff with that idea. I think that's really,
some
really
of my
unique.
fans are like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was unique. I haven't heard of that before. I haven't heard of that before. I'm super excited that you told me that. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I'm rubbing my hands together.
Can we lose a turn?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. And if your fans happen to be musicians as well, which, many of mine are, they can come to something like that.
Musicians do buy music.
Yes.
I have bought the CD release party I went to. I bought a T-shirt. I bought a CD. Yeah. Like, I mean, musicians do buy music, absolutely. So you can do cool stuff for them.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's a chance to like see what your fans can do. Like, there was a jam afterwards, and people got up and it was really incredible. You know, it's really awesome. You know, there was like this one part of the jam where it was just one song, but all these different drummers hopped on to the same, you know, they just took turns on the same drum kit through this one song. It was just the coolest thing. It was like so much fun.
I'm wondering if I used to go to blues jams in the Valley in Reseda. Have you ever been out to Reseda in the Valley?
Yeah.
Reseda. Well, there's some like jams that happen out on at that end of the valley. Like I can't remember the name of it, but there's a couple players, like older players that I'd get the chance to jam with, and I'm just wondering if there's like one or two particular drummers that you ever came across. But like, have you ever heard of Charlie D?
Charlie D. I know that name. I don't think I've.
If you met him, yeah, he's such a personality that you would probably remember him. But yeah, maybe that's something I could ask you after the interview, because I'm just like so curious, because I've jammed with like a bunch of people out in the valley. So if you're in Sherman Oaks.
I'm in. I'm like right in Hollywood.
No, south end of Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Hollywood proper.
Hollywood proper. Is it the proper area of Hollywood, though?
The sign's like right there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you got it. Yeah. Is it in your backyard, essentially?
It's pretty much. It's right there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, actually, this question I've been holding for some time, because I'm so interested to see what you think. We were talking about jazz standards that have been, beaten to death. What's your favorite rendition of Autumn Leaves that you never get tired of when you listen to?
Let me see. My favorite rendition of Autumn Leaves, which I almost recorded for this record, and I decided not to, but I'm going to do it for the next one. Nat King Cole.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's because of his voice, huh?
Yeah, just that velvety, yummy, gorgeous voice. He's definitely somebody I just don't get. I mean, how can you get tired of Nat King Cole? That's sacrilege.
You have no velvety soul.
You are a soulless being.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I actually have heard his rendition of it. For me, it's Miles Davis does a version of Autumn Leaves, and the song starts out with a bass line that sounds like boom, 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 like that, and it's just like so. It just kind of threw me off for a second. I was like, how does this sound like Autumn Leaves? But then it ends up making sense when they get into it. So I was just curious. I was just curious because I knew that one. Also, Stella by Starlight.
Yeah.
That's that's another one that's been covered a lot. Did Nat King Cole cover Stella by Starlight as well?
I am not sure. I don't know.
Should probably check it out.
Yeah, but I do want to hear that Miles Davis Autumn Leaves.
Yeah, it's like I stumbled across it actually on Spotify, because I was looking through his music, and I think that it was off an album. It was called The Fighter, or at least when I saw the album cover art, that's what it's just Miles Davis and looking all like serious and over his shoulder.
Who's behind me?
Yeah, like, why are you following me? And he's wearing like a white undershirt, and it says like The Fighter on it, and it's a version of Autumn Leaves. I'll try to find it, and then I'll send it to you in an email so you can check it out. It's really good.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to. It's just with all covering all blues, which is a Miles song. What was really cool about doing that, and also Sugar, which I did for the record, is like nobody knew that those songs had words. Yeah. They were just like, Sugar has lyrics. Yes. Yeah. Every time I pull that one out on a gig, people are like, "Oh, that one has words." Like Blue Monk, that somebody wrote words for that. And so it was kind of fun to do those songs that people are kind of familiar with, but a little, maybe just a bit obscure, lyric wise. Nobody knew that, those two songs.
Because the popular versions are instrumentals, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's, maybe it'll introduce a whole new audience to these songs they might not otherwise listen to. Because some people don't want to listen to instrumental music. I want it to have a singer on it. I want something to relate to. They want lyrics.
Yeah.
And, that might be like a cool concept for a record, getting this group of songs together that normally, don't have, or people don't usually sing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But secretly someone has penned lyrics to it. And, so that could be interesting. That could be like a cool concept.
I'd be interested to see, like, you take the sound of your current album and then take a Bix Beiderbecke song or Frankie Trumbauer, and then somehow morph that and make it work. I'd love to. I'd love to hear that would work.
I like it.
Yeah. Like there's a song that actually has lyrics to it. It's called "No One Can Take Your Place." Yeah, I'd be interested to see that, like, transformed into, like, the style that you have on the Deep End, because it's such a different, because it's like, it's like a 1930s, sounds like it's a 1930s style of jazz. So
no one can take your place. I'm just putting it in my notes. Your place. Okay. I know we're doing an interview here. I don't need to.
Oh, it's all good.
Well, but I will forget. I like that. I like the title too. So that's good.
Yeah. So, I think we'll just in-depth that then. It's been an awesome interview. Got a huge smile on my face from all this awesome information you've been sharing, and I still think it's pretty bad ASS that you were able to get those people at your show and promote it in that way. I think that's really, really smart and really creative, because as musicians, we feel like, we're creative individuals, but I think we limit our creative thinking to just when we're making the record, and when we're writing the songs, and we don't always realize that creative, critical thinking and problem solving, it's like this. It's one and the same. You're making, when you create music, you're making connections, between your influences and all of your knowledge, all of your musical knowledge, and putting those connections together, and then you have this music you've created. When it comes to the business end or the promoting end, you think creatively about your connections with the individuals, your relationships that you've built. You have to think how to know how to communicate. Like, when you contacted that artist, you weren't like, "Hey, let me be on your show, okay? Because I'm awesome."
I rock.
I rock. I think you should let me present me at your show, because my stuff, my music's it's a little bit better than yours. Well, actually, it's a lot better than yours. So maybe you know what I mean? Like,
I'm awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's just a genuine relationship.
Yeah,
exactly. He'd had me featured as featured diva, because he has Diva Tuesdays or Diva Thursdays or whatever it was.
Are you a diva? Do you consider yourself a diva?
I've been the featured diva. A diva.
Wait, you hesitated for too long in answering that question.
I'm just like, well, maybe we want to rethink diva. No, but I think, I've read the definition of diva as talented singer. I'm not, lunatic sociopath, but I certainly take pride in my work and my craft and all of that.
I think that's a bridezilla, though. A bridezilla would be more on the sociopath, but a diva, I think it's more open to interpretation. I could say Freddie Mercury was a diva. I could say that as well, because he commanded the stage. He held your attention. That's how I think about it. Some of the people think of divas as being, like, annoying and demanding too. So
that's why I hesitated. I was just like, I could think of myself as diva. I like to command my stage. I don't like to, I don't belittle people. So those are the that'd be the difference between me and what maybe the the definition has devolved into.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
So,
well, I think you're running on the right path, simply because of the results that you've gotten, at your last CD release party and all the, musicians that you've networked to come on with the album. So, but yeah, I want to be respectful of your time now.
Sure.
I know that your cat's probably like
she
sitting
wants
there
attention.
staring at you, wanting to be off camera, staring at you, wanting to have attention given to her right now, because with cats, like, they don't want you to touch them when they don't want you to touch them. Not like dogs, but
I'm being intensely stared at right now.
Okay.
Across the room.
All right, Jamila. Well, thanks for coming on the Seeds Music Web Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good luck on all your musical ventures, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That was fun.
All right. Check you later.
Okay.